Hey there, and welcome back to another episode of A Cup of Joe. My name is Joe Escobedo, and today we're going to be talking about how to turn your employees into a brand building channel and how to attract talent for your company. So today I'm very excited because we have Sunil on the show. Hey, Sunil.
Hey Joe, thanks for inviting me on the show.
My pleasure. So
Yeah,
Sunil heads up growth at Whatfix. He's also the host of India's #1 SaaS-focused platform. So very excited to have him on the show and to share his insights in terms of brand building and related topics. So we'll just dive right into it. So first question is, what are some ways that brands can build a strong employer brand and really drive recruitment online?
awesome. Yeah, so before diving into an employer brand, so I'd like to start talking about every company has a reputation online. So when they every company when they create social channels on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter, so they're kind of building a reputation there. So it could include their thoughts about their products. It could include their services, their team members, and the add-ons they provide, their history, how the company started and how it's growing, how it's raising the funds, and all this stuff like that. So it all adds it to the reputation of your brand. And it can be really powerful that how what that content that you're putting out on your social media, it can be really powerful. And it's more like how you're reaching out to the world. So how the outside world sees your company, right? So because there are a lot of things happening in your company. There are new features launching in your product, and new services coming on, new people joining in, new there are like activities going on. So social media is a good channel for your company to showcase all these activities and get a good reputation. Similar way, like a corporate brand works is, so an employer brand is something like markets. It's like a markets or outside world's perception to your company's employees. And it is simply just like how your company market itself and its position to the outside people who are seeking jobs, right? So there are a lot of ways, like for a brand to drive recruitment and through social media, and to build a strong employer brand. So the brand that I can think of when it comes to driving who are building great employer brand on social media is like companies like Media, companies like HubSpot, companies like Unbounce. So these guys are doing awesome job when it comes to social media and building an employer brand, and which in turns drive recruitment, and which aids the recruitment. So if you see like the whole, so Media is run by Gary V. I'm sure most of the people listening to it know Gary V. So yeah, if you see like the whole team of Gary V is going so hard on social media, like Instagram and Twitter and Snapchat. So there are David, there's Tyler, there's Sid, some people names I can think of. So they're right there on social media. I follow them on Instagram myself. So they engage with a lot of people there on Instagram. They have their own content which runs there. Then when they put out their own content, so they get followers, and there are people who are following these people who work at Media and for Gary V. So that's how the other people, and that's how the other outside world get to know what Media is, and how they're functioning, what things are going on, how the people are how the people are treated there, and what kind of new things the people are doing except from the job, right? And that kind of builds a good reputation, a good employer brand for them. And again, if a company is doing so, if a company's employees are doing so well on social media, and other people see that hey, I also want to be there, I also want to be a part of this big organization. And similar things we did at Whatfix as well. So I work at Whatfix, and some things with Whatfix did before I joined is like so when there was a new movie launched, Captain Marvel. So Whatfix like booked an entire entire one movie theater for one show, and they invited people from across Bangalore to come all over. So it was like anyone who is working at Whatfix, so you can invite your friends over to come watch the movie, and it's for totally for free. So that kind of, so this drove a lot of attention on social media, and thus then we end up at actually we end up recruiting to people who came to the movie through this activity. So that this kind of activities build your employer brand, which in turns get you, your job requirement. They can help you in recruiting some candidates through social media.
Wonderful. So I think there's some really good tips in there. One of
Yep.
which was the importance of being on social media. I think we can all agree on that. The other was around, creating content that not only showcases your, own employer brand and culture, but also a lot of the times people are looking for additional resources, for insights. And if your company is the one who is providing those insights, then as you said, you have the opportunity to build your reputation and your trustworthiness. And as a result, employees, clients are more inclined to work with you in some capacity. So that's a very, very
Totally.
good point that you mentioned there, Sunil.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you mentioned a few companies. How are some of the top companies that you've seen really humanizing their brand on social media? Because it's one thing to, be a corporate brand, but a lot of times what organizations want to do is have like a personal tone to what they're doing and really bring some personality to it. So what are some good examples that you've seen across different companies?
Right. So one example I mentioned about is VaynerMedia. Obviously, the other one I can think of, is HubSpot. So HubSpot, I think HubSpot does humanizing of their brand way better than anyone else, any B2B company out there, which is a SaaS. And yeah, so HubSpot on their, may it be LinkedIn, may it be Twitter, may it be Facebook, may it be Instagram, they they are killing it with content on every social platform. Like they're driving their content marketing so well that employees people want to follow them, people want to consume their content. And so how they do it is, they have, so they have their plan, they have their content marketing placed in such a way that they are also driving content which, which provides, again, as you mentioned, insights to people, because of which people want to follow the brand. They also provide good content, again, which is like a attention seeker, which is like helps get more attention on social media. And the other thing is, which adds up the humanizing factor is, they let their employees they showcase their employees on the social media. So for example, they share behind the scenes things when they're, let's say, when they're at an event. So how the event works, there are a lot of things happen at the behind of an event, but people on the outside see only maybe the after movie, or maybe the intro video or something like that. They never get to see what's happening exactly, how people are working, how people are getting things done. So social media is a good way for a brand to showcase these things, and what exactly these people are at HubSpot are doing, who is taking care of what, and how they're driving. So, and the most important factor here when you're sharing such kind of content on social media is storytelling. So storytelling actually adds up the humanizing factor into any content which is going out there, which involves humans, right? Again, and so I'm sure most of the people might have seen the Game of Thrones last episode, and Tyrion Lannister's speech, about storytelling, right? So what unites people? So what Tyrion says is, there's nothing more powerful in the world than a story. And that is actually true, because when you tell a story on social media, people relate to it. People relate that, how I would have been. People relate that story, other person's story, to themselves, and then they try to attach more with the brand. So when brands tell such stories, that what brings up the human factor in the content which goes out on social media in the later.
Hmm. So I think it's some very good tips there, Sunil. One of
Yep.
which was around HubSpot and the way they really let their employees share their voice on the platform. I think it's a good
Right.
way of kind of humanizing the brand, because at the end of the day, you want to highlight your people, your team
Right.
members. And by
Right.
showing,
And
like you said, go ahead.
no, I'm saying it's not just HubSpot as a company. They just so it's a CRM tool, right? It's a CRM and marketing automation tool. But they are not just sharing anything like everything just related to CRM and marketing automation. If you follow their Instagram page, they share a lot of great content, and they talk about the recent trends what are happening in the world, and not only related to CRM and again marketing automation, but they know that there are a lot of people who follow them, and these people are interested in other things as well, except the what services HubSpot already provides. So sharing such content helps getting more engagement through social media. And when they get more engagement, they also have a lot of eyes on them, and that's the time when they show there are some times when they show, let people take over. They let their employees take over their social media brand, and maybe they do an AMA, maybe they do some live videos, maybe they do some webinars, and to just get more attention and keep these people engaged.
Mm. Yeah, I love the ideas of the employee takeovers. I think it's a great way to, like I said, humanize the brand. I think the only caveat here is that, a lot of companies have strict compliances, so making sure that the employees are well aware of what they can and can't say, especially if it's live. But I think if you have some kind of employee ambassador program where you kind of train these people on social media, you train them in terms of content creation, and then just give them the reins to create the content, I think that can be a very, very powerful way, as you said, to really humanize and showcase the brand. So great tips there, Sunil. Learning a lot already.
Yeah.
Now, the next question is around, we talked about this a little bit thus far, but how are brands really showcasing their work culture and also their career opportunities through the content they share?
Right. So again, it all depends on how a brand is showcasing their employees on social media. The spotlight should be on the employees and not just the what the products and the services of the company are. When you put your employees on spotlight on the brand social media, you get a chance to share their achievements, and you get a chance to support your employees in this process. So supporting in sense, maybe some of your employees are doing some keynote speech, maybe some of your employees are doing some podcast, maybe some of your employees are doing they are writing some different blogs on their own. So putting them on the spotlight and highlighting their content on the brand social media adds up the missing gap or missing link between employers and the brand, right? So this helps to bridge the gap between these two things. And a brand should really focus on encouraging their employees to create a lot of content, because what happens is, when this content that your employees are creating, when this content gets attention, your employees get attention, and when your employees get attention, in the end brand gets attention. So it's all like it takes a long time, it's a long path, but in the end it definitely works. I mean, you take any brand which is, let's say, HubSpot, or just what I mentioned, Unbounce and VaynerMedia, and there are a lot of other brands out there as well. So if you see all these employees in these companies, they create their own content. They they have their own social media following. They have their own attention of people. Then when they create content, they also share and talk about the brand that they're working for. And when that happens, the brand is definitely sought to get attention from the people who are following these employees as well. So that kind of builds, it's not like something that can happen one night, or 1 week or 1 month, but it adds up every day, every moment when you create some content on social media. And when you're having all this attention, it all can be converted into job requests, right? So when a person is active on social media and they're doing so well, and they might be getting a lot of, by just simply adding one line on LinkedIn on your bio which says, we are hiring. So, or maybe we are hiring for this specific role. So when people are looking at your profile and looking at your content, what you share, so when they see this line, so they're interested and they're curious to know, what roles are you hiring for? Can I apply for? Can you give me a reference in your company? And 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 can you just let me know, how can I also be a part of what you're doing at your company? So this job requests start catching up. And I mean, yeah, that's a very odd way to get a lot of attention on social media and convert that into job request. And obviously that's not a one day task, because let's say if you start doing social media now, let's say you created a LinkedIn account 3 to 5 years ago, and you're not that active, but after listening to this episode, you go out and they say, hey, I'll start putting out some job request on my LinkedIn to see if anyone can give me attention for that. But that's not going to happen. I mean, has very less chance of happening because you're not that active on LinkedIn or any social media which is out there. So when you start engaging the people who follow you, they'll engage back when you have some content to share and when you are requesting something from them, which is in this case a job, referral, or maybe something like that.
So Sunil, a lot of really, really good tips in there. I just want to kind of distill them down to one of some of my key learnings. One of
Okay.
which was around spotlighting your employees' achievements, stuff they're doing, as you said,
Yeah.
keynotes or podcasts, or they're writing blogs or whatever it is
Mhm.
that they're doing, really highlighting them on your corporate social channels. So that's
Right.
one. The second thing you really talked about is encouraging them to build their own, I guess, personal brand. So making sure
Right.
that they have a strong online presence, which then actually impacts the company. I talk a lot about this in my
Right.
trainings, both positively and negatively, your
Right.
employees' own social presence. So obviously, if they have a
Mhm.
strong social presence, they're getting a lot of engagement.
Right.
Then it draws attention or awareness to the company itself in a positive
Right.
light. And
Mhm.
another thing that you mentioned is that they can share the job postings themselves. So I've seen a lot
Right.
of, say, hiring managers in a LinkedIn profile put, I'm hiring data scientists, or I'm hiring whatever the role is. So you use them as not only a channel to share and distribute content, but also
Right.
to highlight new opportunities within the organization. And then they can
Right.
funnel that back to the HR manager or whoever is going to be in charge of recruitment.
Totally.
But
Totally.
that's a wonderful way of really expanding the reach of your candidates. So excellent point.
Right. Yeah, and it definitely helps the people, at the employees in the end, right? Because most of the companies today have referral bonuses, and when you build your personal brand online, and when you have all this attention, and if there's a possibility where you can get referrals through your social media, and grow your company in terms of employees, so that adds to that's like a bonus, right? On top of everything that you do.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I think it's a win-win for both the organization, who is getting,
Right.
more targeted candidates, and it's a win-win for the employee, who's, like you said, getting perhaps some kind of incentive for referring
Right.
quality candidates to the organization. So excellent tips so far. Really, really enjoying
Yep.
this. The last question, a lot of people, myself included, are always looking for new tools. So
Mhm.
what are some tools that you've seen companies leveraging um, in order to build their own kind of personal brand, or sorry, employer brand, excuse me?
Right. So one such tool I know is called Influitive. I'm not sure if people have heard of it, but it's a tool which allows you to boost employee advocacy, and I know it because of a company called Segment, and so this tool can be used for both employee advocacy and customer advocacy. So I know it because of I'm a customer of Segment, and I use this tool on behalf of Segment as a customer advocate. So what this tool really does is, so there is a company creates a lot of content, right? Maybe in terms of maybe it's in the form of articles, maybe it's form of video, social posts, case studies, webinar, podcast, and many more such varieties of content. But trust me when I say this, like not everyone in your company might know that this kind of content exists and this kind of content is going out. I'm sure like most of the developers won't know, like there are case studies and there are social media posts and there are some videos are happening and which are going out on a daily basis to outside world. But you can use a tool like Influitive to push all of this content to your employees. And what happens is, like, when you push this content to your employees, they tend to share, they tend to like, they tend to comment on these posts, and their following can also, you can tap into their second network if you speak on LinkedIn terms, right? So this kind of tool allows you to share all this content which is happening on, and any other activities which are happening in your company, to share it with your employees, right? And when our employees know about this, they tend to relate themselves as well. So they can, there might be some article around development which a developer might be interested in, but he never knew that this kind of content existed. So tools like Influitive is a good tool to let our employees know that so, these kind of content exist, and you can share, and you can put your word out there and maybe put your thoughts to it, right? So other tools are internal communication tools like Slack, uh, which you can use to drive as well. So maybe there's just some channel where you can share all your content which is going out on a daily basis, and ask people, everyone in your company, to just share it, comment on it, like on it, and stuff like that. And once your employees start talking about the content again, that's when your content deserves the attention. They gets the attention it deserves. So for all this to happen, your employees need to be active on social media. That's a big uh, requirement. If your employees are not active on social media, or for example at least LinkedIn, in most of the B2B companies, you should be active on LinkedIn. I mean, like, LinkedIn is the platform for B2B people to be on. And the platform is catching up rapidly. LinkedIn is, it's in itself is such a great tool. As you mentioned, you're looking for new tools, but LinkedIn, and you might know obviously that LinkedIn is one tool. But yeah, it's such a great tool, and it's catching up rapidly. And there are many more features coming on to boost engagement. And there is live videos now, there are reactions there now. You can invite people to follow your brand on that, follow your LinkedIn brand. So there, these tools are catching up, and this update has been launched recently, just last week. So now anyone who is an admin on some LinkedIn page, you can go out on the LinkedIn profile, LinkedIn company's profile, and there's an option where you can invite your network to follow the employer brand. So why LinkedIn launched this? It's because they know that employees are the people who can get attention to a brand in the end, right? Brand can get attention itself on it, like through ads and through hashtags and through content. But in the end, the major drive factor is the employees. LinkedIn also knows it. That's why I think they launched this awesome feature. So if any one of you is listening who's just a lurker on LinkedIn, by lurker I mean you're just logging on LinkedIn, not engaging with others content, not engaging with your own brand's content. So start engaging. Maybe start with at least your brand. Maybe comment, like and comment and share all your brand's content. So your content marketing person might enjoy that. My content is getting attention from the company as well, and not just the outside world. So it's going to help you personally build your personal brand, and which in turn helps your employer as well.
So once again, a lot of good points there. Again, I think one thing that you touched on early on was that a lot of companies don't even know that the content they're creating within the organization. Right. It could be even within their own department. So by having a tool, like you said, to really showcase all the different content that is available, and then allow them the opportunity to share that on their platforms, is, I think, a great way, like I said, to expand that reach and help them build their own presence, as you said.
Yeah. So inflative, sorry to break you up. So inflative is actually, it allows you to incentivize again this content. So, there are points. So for example, if you share, if there is an article which is out recently, so, and you get a pop-up in your inflative that there's an article out, and if you share, share and comment on it, you get 50 points. So you can collect these points, and you can in turn redeem it for some rewards or some stuff in the end. So this is again incentivizing your own employees inside the organization to make them more active on social media. So again, tools like Influative exist because they understand that employers can drive a lot of attention through their employees on social media.
Yeah, and I think that's another good point, is really incentivizing them. So having like leaderboards or other ways in which you spark competition and you incentivize them for taking part. Not only, like you said, to build their own personal brand, but other ways in which to motivate and drive them. Because that's one of the big obstacles I've seen in a lot of organizations, is they start this process, it works out quite well, and then after a while, the momentum starts slipping, people don't post as often. So I think there's different things, like you mentioned, to really keep the motivation high and sustain that.
Right. Yeah.
Well, awesome. Like I said, I've learned quite a lot today, so thank you so much. So Sunil, how can people find you? How can they get in touch with you?
So they can get in touch with me on LinkedIn specifically. I'm I'm a person who's socially active on all social platforms. I'm there on any social platform you can think of, maybe Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, LinkedIn, Twitter. Yeah, so I am out there, right? So, but specifically for, you can get in touch with me on LinkedIn, and you can also visit my website if you want. I'll give the description and the link to Joe, and maybe he can put it out on the description.
Yeah, absolutely. Happy to do that. Happy to plug whatever you're doing. So
Yeah.
Sunil, thank you so much for being on the show. I really appreciate you sharing your insights and experience.
Yep. Awesome.
For,
Thank you for inviting.
no worries. And for anyone watching, if you enjoyed today's session and you want more great tips like this, please feel free to subscribe, share, and like. So thank you so much, and we'll see you next time.